Yay Networks.
13 has been my lucky number for a while. Like, it's always a sign of good things to come for me.
This is 13, a Taylor Swift fan podcast, breaking down every song, every Easter egg, every era, and every theory. Hosted by the biggest Swifties, Nick Adams, Anna Szabo, Amy Nichols, and Lacey G.
Welcome to 13, a Taylor Swift fan podcast. My name's Nick Adams.
I'm Anna.
Amy.
And I'm Lacey G.
And we have officially entered the Tortured Poets Department.
Woo!
Way to go. It seems like we never were going to get here, but we made it. And doesn't
really
it feel nice?
Yes.
I'm nervous. Why?
Well, it's a lot, guys.
It's very daunting to how cocky are we that we think that we can break down all of Taylor Swift's thoughts in her most dense work of art
I know.
Yeah.
to date?
I know.
This is a very tough task.
But I am excited.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
Nick Adams, I've admitted before in the past that I would wake up early in the morning and start prepping for our song breakdowns. I can no longer do that. And then I've been preparing for Fortnite for days now. And late last night, I found a theory and interpretation that just blew my mind. And I'm like, oh, well, all that other stuff that I had saved is no longer. But I am dressed for my Tortured Poets Department. The only I know it's the wrong color. It's pink. It's all in my leather.
Very tortured.
But I got the really big sleeves.
Yes.
That's why I wore it. Because it
Yes.
reminds me of Taylor Swift's black dress in the Fortnite music
It's
video.
perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Yes. I know that we have some exciting news. Before we do, I have something I'm very excited to share with y'all.
She's grabbing
Is it
something.
show and tell?
Is
What's
it,
happening?
Is it a lobster? Stop.
What is this?
This is the painting that my sister made for us. Heaven is 15 years old. She is a very fantastic artist. And Amy, you're an artist. Will you look at that 13 logo that she did?
Love it.
Oh my goodness.
We look good.
Wow.
That's so great.
Yeah.
This is like, and the album covers look amazing.
They really do.
This is something she did on her own, just decided one day, oh, I like that picture that you sent me, and painted this. And I thought she didn't paint our faces because she was intimidated, but then I realized, no, she actually sketches that kind of stuff. So, I mean, she did this in paint.
Wow.
so cool.
And yeah, I'm telling you, that
How
girl is so good at
precious.
everything.
Where
So,
are we
Adorable.
going to hang it?
at my house, I think, and you can come visit.
Yeah.
That's why I just wanted to show it to y'all because
That's
I'm
awesome.
Yeah, the album covers look fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yes.
This logo, I mean, just insane. And she's 15 years old. She's
That's-
so good
Yeah, so the
and
picture
talented at
that
everything.
she's using as inspiration was taken at a photo shoot that we did recently, and it's like one of the best pictures we've ever taken together, and
I
it's
know.
just awesome.
It's one of my absolute favorite photos. That's incredible. When you hang it, you need to do what they do at art museums and have like a little plaque next to it that has like the
Yes.
artist info.
Yes, thank you,
The
Heaven.
year.
How much
the
it would
medium.
be to buy it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see which one. I can't remember which one she said was her favorite, but I want to say it was Evermore. But to do all that in paint, just how impressive.
That's crazy. Like I'm on the other side of the studio, like I'm the farthest away from it. And even from here, like those album covers look so good.
Yeah, the
This is
detail.
impressive.
Yeah, so very proud of her and could not wait to share it with
Yes,
y'all.
thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Heaven. That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Please tell her that we think it's absolutely incredible.
And
I
I'm
will.
so glad she painted pants on me because those pictures make me look like a floating body.
Why?
I don't
Oh,
know,
because
like-
the background is
the background was white?
and your
I
pants
matched
are
the
white?
background. Yeah, got no legs.
We need to share those photos.
Oh,
Have we not?
I
have
edited
we?
them.
Oh,
Yeah,
we do?
I finished. I just haven't sent them to you.
Coming soon.
Along with our voicemail. I will be attaching our voicemail to our
Right.
Google number
Oh, good.
at some point.
One day.
Mm-hmm.
One day.
Well, to kick off our Tortured Poets Department era, we have kind of teased this a little bit, but we thought it would be really fun to do a really cool giveaway,
Yes.
courtesy of a fellow listener.
Emily, thank
Emily.
you so much, Emily.
Emily is an incredible Swiftie and a lobster, and she was able to get her hands on an extra Tortured Poets Department autographed vinyl. And we've been hanging on to it because we've been wanting to give it away when we start our Tortured Poets Department era. So we thought this would be the perfect time in our first episode to let you know how we're going to give this away. So if you've ever participated in a podcast giveaway before, this will maybe sound familiar. But the way that we like to do this is we feel so thankful for all of the Swifties that listen to this podcast. So the way that this is going to work is that we are not going to post about this on social media. You only really will know about it by listening to this episode and this podcast. So to enter our signed Tortured Poets Department giveaway, you enter by posting on your social media about the podcast. You can, any platform that you want, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, I guess, I don't know. Whatever platform you want, just post anything you want about the podcast. It can be about how you're excited that the Tortured Poets Department era is finally here. It can be about how you're excited about a new episode. It could be about how you just found the podcast and this is the first time you're ever listening. Whatever you post, just make sure that you use the hashtag TTPD the 13 podcast, number 13. So hashtag TTPD the 13 podcast. Put that on your post. You can post as many times as you want up until August 6th, which, yes, that is a fortnight.
That's genius.
And we're doing this because we want it to go to a listener.
Yes. So we want it to go to a listener. That's why we ourselves are not going to post about this giveaway on our social media, but we want you to spread the love about the podcast on your social media. So you have until August 6th to post whatever you want. Just make sure you include the hashtag TTPD the 13 podcast. And then the winner will be notified by us, only by us, from our only account, which is at the 13 podcast, on August 7th. So is that pretty straightforward? Did I miss anything?
Clear.
It's great. I love it.
Crystal.
I love the sneaky that we're not putting it on social media.
Yeah.
Like you have to listen to the podcast to get all the details, to know how to enter. And then we know you're really a fan. I love that.
Yeah, I think, because we did this around the same thing around Christmas when we had one of our giveaways. And I think it's just special because there's a lot of, giveaways and scams that go out like on the internet. And in times that we've done giveaways on our social media before, it's been picked up by scam accounts that then claim to be us. And I don't want our listeners to fall into those traps. So we kind of just figured a good way to keep it within our little podcast family would be like, we tell you how to enter and you enter, but we're not going to post about it, if that makes sense.
Okay, so again, explain what they have to post, and is there any kind of bonus entries that people can do?
Yes. So you'll enter by posting on any social media platform that you want with the hashtag TTPD the 13 podcast. For a bonus entry, Lacey, thank you so much for asking. For a bonus entry, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts for the podcast. Like, just leave us any review. Just make sure that you include the hashtag and the username for the social media account that you use. That way we can link them together as a bonus entry.
That is so cool. I'm so excited that we're entering our Tortured Poets Department era. And thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you, Emily.
Thinking of other Swifties and saying, I have this extra one. Why don't y'all give it away?
Yeah,
so
and
what
something
a caring person.
And
Sweet.
something she had said, because she wrote us a really sweet letter, and something she had said in her letter. Yes, we got your letter. Oh, sorry, wrong era. Something she had mentioned in her letter is that she really wanted it to go to like a Swiftie, a fellow lobster, a podcast listener. Not that like if you enter giveaways on social media, it's not the same. But sometimes scammers enter giveaways on social media so then they can turn it around and for profit, and that's not what we want. So yes, a Tortured Poets Department autographed copy from Taylor Swift herself. So again, enter by using the hashtag TTPD the 13 podcast. If you have any questions, just message us or email us. You have until August 6th. Yay.
Let's get down to business. Let's get into the Tortured Poets Department. And before we even get into a song, we have to get into what Taylor herself and Stevie Nicks wrote about this album so that we can better understand what we're going to be talking about for the next, year that we're breaking down the Tortured Poets Department.
Yeah.
So we got to figure out Taylor's thought process before we can kind of get into the weeds of what she is saying and all the lyrics.
Yeah, I think something that's very interesting about the Tortured Poets Department is it's Taylor's only album so far that has an epilogue by Taylor. Typically in all of her other albums, she has a prologue, where she explains what the album is, what we can expect from the album, what she was going through. Like when you think of like the 1989 prologue or the Red prologue, even the Speak Now prologue, like she was like,
this is what I'm feeling. I hope you enjoy, And with the Tortured Poets department, it was different because at the beginning of it, the prologue is actually a poem written by Stevie Nicks. And then the epilogue is a poem written by Taylor. And I feel like with the Tortured Poets department, you kind of have to understand the epilogue to like fully understand the album because it is so dense. So I kind of just wanted to talk about all of that before we get into the songs.
Absolutely.
And correct me if I'm wrong. If you bought an album on Record Store Day, it included the actual poem from Stevie Nicks?
Oh, I don't know. On the vinyls, it has like it's in the vinyl, but it's not like separate. It's like printed on. I don't know if it had like a separate.
I might have seen that.
I said that, so I don't know if it's true or not. So you might have heard that from me, but I believe that's the case. If not, I'm just wrong and I'm clowning.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
Would anybody like to share the Stevie Nicks poem?
I would. It is titled For Tea and Me by Stevie Nicks. Can we popcorn? This is like a long...
Yeah.
Can we do popcorn?
Yeah, sure.
Do y'all have it all?
Do we go in our this order?
I got it.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to popcorn to somebody.
Oh, okay.
Y'all know how popcorn works, right?
Oh,
in class?
I really hated popcorn.
So popcorn, at least for me, this is how we did it in my elementary school, is you're reading something in class, and someone starts reading, and then they read, sometimes it's as much as they want, and then they say, popcorn too.
Yeah.
And the whole class has to sweat to see if they're going to get called on to then take it over and read.
Okay.
I remember
So we'll play
those
popcorn.
days.
All right.
Okay.
If Amy wasn't my teammate in the surprise song set list, I would say that she should be second just because she always likes to be third. But I'm not saying that because she's my partner. So I would still make her third, Nick.
It sounds like you're trying to control the situation.
We'll just see how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
See how it goes. All right.
That's also the wrong era, so it goes.
It is, correct. For Tea and Me by Stevie Nicks. He was in love with her, or at least she thought so. She was broken-hearted, maybe he was too. Neither of them knew she was way too hot to handle. He was way too high to try, he couldn't even see her. He wouldn't open his eyes, she was on her way to the stars. Popcorn to Amy.
He didn't say goodbye. She looked back from her future and shed a few tears. He looked into his past and actually felt fear. For both of them, the answers would never be ever clear. Don't ask questions now. Do that later. Popcorn, Lacey.
She brings joy. He brings Shakespeare. That's like Aristotle and Ball. It's almost a tragedy. She says, don't endanger me. Don't endanger me. He really can't answer her. He's afraid of her. He's hiding from her. And he knows that he's hurting her. Popcorn, Anna.
She tells the truth. She writes about it. She's an informer. He's an ex-lover. There's nothing there for her. She's already gone. There's nothing that can stop her. She was just flying through the clouds. Where he saw her, she was making her way to the stars. Popcorn, Nick.
When he lost her.
So what does everyone think?
I mean, I do like how she says in it, she brings joy, he brings Shakespeare. How in every relationship, each person is going to bring something different, and sometimes they're vastly different, and sometimes they don't always mesh. Mm-hmm. You know, Shakespeare has a lot of tragedy, like it says in the next line, he brings Shakespeare, it's almost a tragedy. And so, like, it's these people that are trying to make their lives mesh, but it doesn't always work.
Mm-hmm. I'm really curious if Stevie, like, listened to the album before writing this poem. It is dated. There's a date on the poem that says August 13th, 2023, and then a separate date that says September 13th, 8:50 p.m., which I guess that's when she wrote it. So it must have been after she had listened to the album, right? Because I feel like the poem I feel like it touches on the album as a whole. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, I think that's why she used it as the prologue.
I would like to hope that she listened to the album before writing it.
Mm-hmm. But Stevie Nicks was also tortured in her own love life with a bandmate. I saw something once that people said, you think it's savage that Taylor Swift writes about her exes and shares her experiences in that way? Writes about her experiences that involves her exes, really is what I mean. But Stevie Nicks was the original savage because she would write about people in the band and force them to perform it. because she's writing from her own experiences. Mm-hmm. So I just thought that was genius. I really like the line, he's afraid of her, he's hiding from her, he knows that he's hurting her, and she tells the truth and she writes about it because she's an informer. He's an ex-lover. There's nothing for her. She's already gone. I don't know. I like this. I really hadn't paid much attention to it, and I'm not a poem girly, but I like it.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. And I think it's also just very, I don't know, like kind of like how we said earlier, like this being the only album thus far that has an epilogue. Mm-hmm. Like it's basically like somebody that listened to Taylor's words, interpreted them in her own tortured poetry, and that's what we read before listening to Taylor's words and then getting Taylor's in summation mm-hmm. poem. You know, I think it's just a very important added layer to the Tortured Poets department. Mm-hmm. Before we read the epilogue, can I share a little bit of connections to like the Aristotle philosophies?
So you've been researching this for a while.
Yes, I have. So I call this my working thesis, Tortured Poets, Aristotle, and the Overarching Philosophies of Dr. Swift, if this was like an actual research paper. So this actually all started when I was on TikTok, and I came across a user who has the username Little Blonde Curl. And I highly, highly encourage y'all to go check out her videos. She is so brilliant and so intelligent. She's very well-versed on Greek mythology. So I came across a video of hers where she was talking about Aristotle's connection to tortured poets because of the line, you know how to ball, I know Aristotle. She was basically like, as soon as I heard that line, I was like, what's the connection here? There's no way Taylor would just name drop Aristotle if there wasn't a reason behind it. So I watched a video of hers where she talks about Aristotle's philosophy about love and how it ties to Taylor. So basically, Aristotle broke down knowledge into fields of study, and every time Aristotle wanted to understand something, he would observe and analyze and then arrive to his conclusions. And I think that's very, very important for the Tortured Poets department. Aristotle loved to categorize things, and the girl on TikTok, she focused on the 3 things that Aristotle would source as affection and like how someone would find love. And she said it was basically the useful, the pleasant, and the good. The pleasant kind of being like friendship, if you will. Okay. So in Taylor's epilogue, she talks a lot about how, you know, this was a complicated period of time, these 2 years that she spent writing this. She described it as a pendulum that swings from one extreme to the other, being the negative, the positive, and then the good in the middle, which again kind of goes back to the Aristotle situation of it all. So, and according to Aristotle, a true friend is someone that loves you for who you are, not because they have something to gain. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also something that's explored in Tortured Poets, especially if you think now, like, Taylor's relationship with Travis seems very mutually exclusive. Like, they it's not like one is gaining a lot from the other, right. You know? Like, right. It seems very, like, supportive, and that's not necessarily how some of her previous relationships have been.
They're both bringing the same energy and respect and care to the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I watched that video. It's a long video, and I highly recommend it. Again, her username is Little Blonde Curl on TikTok. So I watched that video, and it stuck with me for days to the point where, like, I kind of wanted to go a little bit further and just kind of figure out how Taylor could have drawn from the philosophies of Aristotle. So from the beginning, and feel free to disagree with anything that I say, by the way. Like, this is 100% just my own thoughts and conclusions about all of this. Like, please interrupt and be like, I don't agree.
Where's my buzzer?
If you don't. But since the first listen of the album, I kind of felt like the anthology tracks were more introspective, where like the first half of the album was more of like storytelling, if that makes sense, where the second half was kind of like the analysis. Mm-hmm. So that kind of, in my head, already feeds into the Aristotle learn by observation theory. And then a quote from Aristotle is, "We do not know a thing until we know its cause." So something that I think is important, I mean, of course, I've already talked about how this album has the epilogue, and it's titled In Summation. And it starts with, I stand before my fellow members of the Tortured Poets Department with a summary of my findings, a debrief, a detailed rewinding, for the purpose of warning, for the sake of reminding. And then to kind of go along with that, in her Instagram post, when the album dropped, her caption said, this period of the author's life is now over. The chapter is closed and boarded up. There's nothing to avenge, no scores to settle once the wounds have healed. And upon further reflection, a good number of them turned out to be self-inflicted, and all that's left is the tortured poetry. So overall, I think that the more that I listen to the album in its entirety, I try to kind of figure out what it is that she was like trying to convey and connect. And I feel like, and again, feel free to disagree, but I think the overall and recurring theme is her absolute just like insane level of uncontrollable fame and how that has ruined some of her deepest loves. Mm-hmm. So in the epilogue, she says, as you all may unfortunately recall, I've been stuck with a case of restricted humanity, which explains my plea here today of temporary insanity. I think by restricted humanity, she's talking about her fame. Mm-hmm. The fact that she can't even get a grip on it and its effects is ultimately what drives her insane because it just gets so out of control. And I think this hits most with the manuscript. Not only is it the last song on the album, and while I do think that the song itself heavily refers to the All Too Well short film, which we will get to like a detailed breakdown
in a year,
I also think it could be applied to just like her work as a whole. Because if you like, you know, take it back to the original Red era, you know, we know she was dating this like older famous actor who was pretty much in an ego competition because she was more successful than him. And I think that affected her to an extent that we didn't really fully realize. Because in the manuscript, she talks about how she knows what the agony was for because after all these years, she created her art and some of her best work. Because in the In Summation poem, she even says, it's the worst men that I write best. So even in the song, she talks about how after the experience, she dated guys her own age, you know, probably in an attempt to be with someone that understood her, but then that didn't work out either. So I also think it's important to note that throughout the entire Tortured Poets album, she mentions age quite a lot. She talks about being a precocious child, and I hate it here. Sometimes growing up precocious means not growing up at all, but Daddy, I love him. Peter is about how she's waiting for someone else to grow up. Robin, she explores the innocence of childhood. Time, doesn't it give some perspective, but Daddy, I love him. And then, again, the manuscript. So I think that she has expressed her concerns with the effects of her fame in her work before, and we kind of talked about this in our 1989 breakdowns. We're like, she's kind of been singing about the same thing, but in like different fonts, you know? Like, I forget what song it was. Maybe it was Is It Over Now or I Know Places, Nick, where you were like, I feel like we've already had this conversation because we have. I think she explored it in Red and in 1989. And then in Lover, you know, it's kind of subtle, but in Reputation, she's basically hiding and falling in love, right? But she's hiding from the fame. And then in Lover, it's kind of subtle, too, by being like, I don't want all this fame and money because I have you, you know, Paper Rings, Daylight. But then the fear is still there that we hear in The Archer. We hear it again in Folklore and Evermore, Mirrorball, Peace, The Lakes, all of those. And then in Midnights, it gets, I think, a little bit more evident with, like, Antihero, Lavender Haze, Sweet Nothing. And then one could even argue that Bejeweled is her just at one point being like, I'm just going to embrace it if you can't handle it, sorry, you know? So now, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much.
No, I am loving it.
Okay.
I'm all in.
Okay, so now with the Tortured Poets Department, I think she's very deeply exploring the two extremes of love that we talked about earlier with the Aristotle, the two extremes of love that she has most recently experienced while simultaneously experiencing, as she said, restricted humanity. Because Taylor Swift cannot take a breath without every single person on the planet having an opinion on it. You know what I mean?
In what she writes, like you were just saying, I've been struck with the case of restricted humanity, which explains my plea here today of temporary insanity. She's going crazy.
Exactly.
She's lived for 15 years of people just looming over her, judging everything. And she admits, I don't make the best decisions all the time in relationships and stuff, but it doesn't help when everyone is just nonstop dogging you.
Exactly.
And saying you're the worst about everything. But at the same time, she's one of the best that there is in this entire business. It's like, what's going on? It's insane.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe that in Tortured Poets as a whole, she's telling us the very dramatic extremes of loves that she's experienced from years. From house arrest to cardiac arrest is how she kind of describes it. House arrest being like, So Long London, Love of My Life, or LOML, sorry. Being told that, you know, he's going to stay, but then ultimately he didn't because of his fame, because of her fame, right? And then she runs to this other sensational years-long built-up love affair, Guilty as Sin, I Can Fix Him, Peter, which ultimately also crashed and burned. So ultimately, because of her fame, you know, that also, like, the reason that, like, that relationship didn't work, also because of her fame, which she touches on in But Daddy, I Love Him, Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, those kind of lyrics.
I'll tell you something about my good name. It's mine alone to disgrace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, through all of this, she says that she would trade it all for someone to just love her for her. We hear that in the prophecy.
Company. Yeah.
Right? We hear that in the prophecy. And that also goes back to Aristotle's saying that a true friend is someone that loves you for you, right? So simultaneously, I think she's been struggling with everything that's been going on in her head with these relationships. If you think of Fortnite, The Black Dog, Chloe and Friends, I Look in People's Windows, all of those kind of explore these situations where she thinks where her partner is. She's thinking about what's going to happen. What was my partner doing? You know, oh my gosh, is this all happening? But then she kind of spirals in her own head because she ultimately doesn't have control over her own fate, as we hear in the prophecy.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp.
Do you compare your life to others? Like we've heard Taylor Swift say, she's looking in people's windows. She's looking and wishing that she had the life that she doesn't have because she sees other people enjoy their life and she's just plagued by this entertainment path that she took. Well, maybe social media plays a big part in how you feel looking at other people and being envious or making comparisons. And if that's the way that you feel, we would recommend you talk to our friends at BetterHelp, because everybody might look like they have it together, but in reality, they probably don't. And therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have or what you don't have, so you can start living your best life.
Look, we're all in different stages of life, so I might be comparing myself to other parents. I might be comparing myself to other coworkers or family members. And like Lacey was saying, comparison can be the thief of joy. Comparison is not what we need right now. What we need is to seek out some professional help to help us wrap our minds around what is realistic and help us wrap our minds around how we need to be acting to better ourselves, not to impress others.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire and you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch at any time for no additional charge. There's no shame in that. I've done that. When your therapist doesn't click with you, you don't want to put up with that. You want to find someone that is there for you.
Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Taylor Swift fan today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Taylor Swift fan.
So, also throughout this body of work, we also get introduced to a new good love, which we hear in The Alchemy and in So High School. But even though those are, you know, the love songs that we have of the current good love, she still can't help but fear that it's going to end up like the other ones. Even in So High School, she says, marry, kiss, or kill me. It's just a game, but really, I'm betting on all three. Marry, kiss, and kill. The albatross and the bolter are both warnings, basically about her being like, are you sure you want to do this?
About this?
You know? And ultimately, the outside world, society, the music industry, everyone in this world is itching for Taylor to crash and burn and to witness it all. And we also are supposedly know how she's supposed to react, right? We hear that in Clara Bow. How did it end? I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, Cassandra. So, in summation, I think overall, as a whole, to circle back to Aristotle's teachings about learning by observation and analysis, I think Tortured Poets deeply explores how the one thing that she can't control, being fame, is what haunts her the most, how the music industry treats her and artists in general, like these tortured poets, and how she's overseeing all of it by ending with the manuscript and saying the story isn't mine anymore. So I think that she means it both in a way that she wrote it and we get to hear it, but also she is the product of the pressures and expectations that everyone else in the world has put on her. So Aristotle said once that happiness depends on ourselves, and I think that's a hard thing for Taylor to achieve when she feels like her entire entity is out of her control. Like she said before, sometimes I don't feel like a person. But Aristotle also believed that there is no hope without experience. So I think that the reason Taylor's able to give her heart so wholly to others again and again is because she learns from her own experiences. You know, she has these relationships that crash and burn and hurt her so deeply, but she will give her all to the next person that is willing to have her, you know? So I think part of the reason that this album hits so hard, especially for longtime fans like ourselves, is because we've heard her already talk about this specific pain for years, but not to this extent. And I think that Tortured Poets, she kind of sprinkles like sounds and ideas and references to all of her other eras, which we will get into as we dive into the poem. But overall, I think that's kind of why it hurts us even more.
Yeah.
So that is my working thesis.
That's
Wow.
amazing. Now, I do have a question.
Yes.
From the moment that I heard the manuscript the very first time with you all, and she said, the story's not mine anymore, immediately I was hit with, she's stopping. She's retiring. And then after looking more into it, it's like, no, that's not what she meant. But then at her 100th show, she said the Eras Tour is coming to an end. And the way she was doing it then, she was posting, like, her captions were almost like a goodbye. And it really, I had so many TikToks and so many theories that I was going to put together and present to y'all that what if she is wrapping up? What if this is it? But then I realized, first off, that that's selfish, that our girl deserves a life, even if she does decide to quit from this point forward. I don't know if it would be a permanent thing. I'm not saying she would just completely disappear, but we've discussed before, if she decides to stop making music or stop touring, maybe she's just going to do movies. Maybe she would write for other people. But then since then, she's been saying on tour a lot, like most recently in Milan, it's been 17 years since I've been here. It's not going to be that long. So I don't feel that way anymore. But do you think that Taylor Swift is on the brink of piecing out for a bit?
I think she is such a creative individual. I don't think she's ever going to stop creating in one way or another. I don't think she's ever going to stop creating, whether that be writing poetry and publishing it, writing poems, writing songs. But I think she has a very well-deserved break on the horizon.
Yeah.
But I think she's never going to stop creating in whatever way that may be.
And she has projects that we know about that haven't even started yet to our knowledge, like the movie. And so, yeah, she'll still be doing something.
And whatever she chooses to do, I mean, I'll support it.
Because the
You know?
selfish part of me fears that, but then again, we hear how tortured she is. And I can do it with a broken heart. She's just putting on a show the whole time, and we're all saying, more, more, more. And now she's happy. So is this, I don't know. I'm torn. I feel like she's never going to be done, but also she has no reason to continue. She still wants to feed the fans. She still has a lot of creativity, but I don't know if I expect too much from her, or if us as fans, like I would want her to do this for the rest of my life. Like, come on, Taylor, let's keep going. We're clowning for Reputation every single weekend. Are we getting Karma in Woodville? And I mean, we're just asking for everything right now. Swift Talk is so on fire with all these theories. And I don't know. I don't want her to be tortured. She's so happy. She deserves a nice, well-deserved break. But also, if she wants to walk away from it all, I understand. I don't want her to.
I feel like the manuscript is more of an acceptance than a goodbye.
Yeah, I don't hear it as a good, like, more like an observation, kind of like I was saying, you know, like, of her career, of this project, of just kind of everything that she's learned over the last, couple years. And something that's going to be hard with us with breaking this album down is that she doesn't do interviews anymore. So, like, with the earlier song breakdowns and earlier albums, we're like, this is what Taylor said about the song. This is what she said when she was writing it. This is what she said was the inspiration. We don't have that.
I mean, we might have a 30-second voice memo every now and then,
Yeah.
but it doesn't give a ton of detail
Right.
or anything like
And
that.
I think a lot of it is open to interpretation. And I think a lot of us, between even the four of us, I think we're going to have different interpretations of things. But I
Definitely.
think that's part of what
That's the point.
That's what makes her art so
Right.
good, like to interpret it in her lives, to interpret it in our lives, to interpret it differently, But yeah, I really wanted to share all of that before diving into the songs themselves, because I feel like to understand the songs, we kind of have to understand the body of work as a whole.
And it's also talking about the extremities, too.
Yes.
Because at first listen of Tortured Poets Department, Part 1, we were kind of like, what? Confused a little bit, because it was more theatric than we were used to. The I'm having his baby, no, I'm not. I'm so depressed to act like every day is my birthday. Like it was just such a
I
different.
want to kill her.
Yeah, it was such a different sound than what we were used to, and so extreme than we're used to. So much more. But that has to go back to the Aristotle pendulum.
Right, which I think, that's why I think the epilogue is so important if we want to popcorn read the epilogue.
Yeah.
Sure, we can read it. Let's see. Well, you read
I read
a solid chunk of it.
I read bits and pieces, yeah.
Should we start
But in
over?
order,
Yeah.
order, yeah.
You want me to start?
From the sacred text.
Amy, are you going to go first?
I mean, I can.
You'll go first? Whoa.
I mean, it's already been messed up.
All right. Go ahead, Amy.
In summation, summary poem by Taylor Swift. At this hearing, I stand before my fellow members of the Tortured Poets Department with a summary of my findings, a debrief, a detailed rewinding for the purpose of warning, for the sake of reminding. As you might all unfortunately recall, I had been struck with a case of a restricted humanity, which explains my plea here today of temporary insanity. Popcorn, Anna.
You see, the pendulum swings, oh, the chaos it brings, leads the caged beast to do the most curious things. Lovers spend years denying what's ill-fated, resentment rotting away galaxies we created. Popcorn, Nick.
Stars, popcorn, to Lacey. No, I'll read this one. Stars placed and glued meticulously by hand next to the ceiling fan. Tried wishing on comets, tried dimming the shine, tried to orbit his planet. Some stars never align. And in one conversation, I tore down the whole sky. Spring sprung forth with dazzling freedom hues, then a crash from the skylight bursting through. Popcorn, Lacey.
Something old, something hallowed, who told me he could be brand new. And so I was out of the oven and into the microwave, out of the slammer and into a tidal wave. How gallant to save the empress from her gilded tower, swinging a sword he could barely lift. Ooh, smallest man. But loneliness struck at that fateful hour. Low-hanging fruit on his wine-stained lips, he never even scratched the surface of me. Popcorn, Amy.
None of them did. In summation, it was not a love affair. That's an exclamation. I read that wrong. In summation, it was not a love affair. I screamed while bringing my fist to my coffee-ringed desk. It was a mutual manic phase. It was self-harm. It was house and then cardiac arrest. A smirk creeps into this poet's face because it was the worst men that I write best. Popcorn, Nick.
And so I enter into evidence my tarnished coat of arms, my muses acquired like bruises, my talismans and charms, the tick, tick, tick of love bombs, my veins of pitch black ink, all's fair in love and poetry, sincerely, the chairman of the Tortured Poets Department. You know, it's been so long since I've read that. I think I read that when it first came out, and I don't know if I really absorbed everything it was saying there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, she goes hard in this.
Yeah.
Man, it's just like, oh my gosh, I get it.
Yeah.
And what? Oh, I got to find the part that was just like, oh my gosh, what is this? Yes, I tried wishing on comets, tried dimming the shine, tried to orbit his planet. Some stars never align. And in one conversation, I tore down the whole sky. It's like, whoa, she tried. I'm just getting rid of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly just, again, in summation, wraps up the album. The one that sticks out to me is and so I was out of the oven and into the microwave, being like she was in this slow burning, long-term relationship into one that was very quick and burned very, very fast.
Yeah.
So out of the slammer into the tidal wave, kind of like the same thing. How gallant to save the empress from her gilded tower, swinging a sword he could barely lift. Like, oh, he came to save me, his what's it called, a damsel in distress, but he couldn't even lift up the sword to do it. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think in the songs, especially as we get into them, I think there's a lot of lyrics that in one song she references different muses, different verses refer to different parts of her life, even though it is just like one overall song. But I don't know. I'm really glad that we did this before diving into the album.
Thank you.
This is great. Thank you for doing that. And correct me if I'm wrong. for the three of us in the room, other than Anna, did we just witness her like getting into her professor stage? Like your
Yeah.
next career, Anna, will be teaching a Taylor Swift class at some place of higher education.
Hey, I'm open to it. If anybody's listening and there's a job opening at your
Yes.
university, hit me up. Or I can come and do a TED Talk.
Yeah.
Will
That was great.
Will you slam your fist on your
Coffee
coffee
Rings
stained desk?
desk. Yes. Yeah. Well, I just think it was really, because I started putting this together weeks ago, before we were still doing our other breakdowns and stuff. Again, I saw this TikTok video from Little Blonde Curl on TikTok, and I was just so fascinated by it. And I kind of kept feeling like, even though I was listening to the album over and over, I kind of felt like I still wasn't fully understanding it. And so by taking the time to like really try to understand the poetry and the meaning and the inspiration and things, I feel like I have a better listening experience to the album as a whole. So I hope you guys feel the same. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to my working thesis. Let me hold on. What I titled it again?
It wasn't a TED Talk. It was a Tay Talk.
Oh, it was a Tay Talk.
Aw, I love it.
My working thesis, Tortured Poets, Aristotle, and the Overarching Philosophies of Dr. Swift.
Anna, you did a great job.
By Anna Szabo. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
You did a really good job. Thank you for bringing all that to our attention. It's been a while since I've reviewed that. So, I mean, you're absolutely right. Now I'm looking at it in a different light, rereading words that I didn't pick up on before, phrases, the oven to microwave, way over my head. I would have not put that together if it wasn't for you, Anna. So thank you.
Thanks. It's my favorite part of life is being a student of Dr. Swift.
Well, thanks so much for joining us for this episode of 13, a Taylor Swift Fan Podcast. If you forgot how to enter our contest to win a signed copy of the Tortured Poets Department, just rewind to the beginning. You'll hear we don't need to explain it again. Just rewind. You'll hear it. And we can't wait to see all the entries for that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And join us on this next podcast because it's time for Fortnite. It's time. We got to get there.
Thanks for listening to 13, a Taylor Swift fan podcast. Subscribe for free and leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts.